I'm a product manager right now at Haptik. I take care of a product by the name Interact, which we started about 1.5 years back with about 30 paid clients, and today we've expanded to 3,000 plus. Uh, every month we are growing 30% in terms of revenue, in terms of new users acquired, or in terms of new businesses acquired. It's one of the top products in its categories on Shopify. And what it does essentially is it enables small, medium businesses to use WhatsApp for their business. Prior to that, I was with HCL, where I was a product manager for a chatbot. And prior to that, I was with Cognizant, where I was doing initially pre-sales, and then I was into product management, where I was doing product management for a computer vision based OCR solution, which is just an application of AI. So the idea and the reason why we are doing this call today is, as I was reviewing a lot of portfolios and profiles, I saw there were some common things that people or students were missing out on. Now, I understand most of these things would have been mentioned in the Perfect Fit course, but nevertheless, the idea for this session is what we'll do is first I'll talk about the basics, right? What we need to definitely uh, have on our profile and portfolio. And then if time permits, we can also cover a resume. And also I would want 1 or 2 volunteers who have their profile or portfolio ready with them. And we can do a live session right now on the call. It doesn't matter what shape it is in, right? It'll help all of us. Even if it's approved, you can still share it so that we can look at what made uh, it actually being approved on what clicks on that resume, right? So if any of you wants to do that, just write down in the chat box and say that you have both of the things ready and you'd love to get that done on the live call here itself, which will be beneficial for everyone. And the first one who does that, of course, gets automatically selected if everyone is going for it, right? Okay, so starting with the first thing, right? And we'll do that once I'm done with the basics and once I've talked about it. So the first thing that we want to talk about today is the profile, right? I'll use my profile as a reference. So I'm going to quickly show my LinkedIn profile. But before I do that, so this is a very product management sort of concept, whereas whatever you do, right, in product management, which is, it can be anything as simple as to as complex as creating a strategy for finding out where our next billion users are going to come from. You always start with the why, right? And it sounds very cliched. It sounds something which is talked about in the product management world often, but it cannot be stressed enough. So why do we even need a good profile, right? Why are we saying that, hey, your profile should be good, or why does it even matter? Why can't you just be without a profile and get a job, right? Now, understand that it is not, I'm not saying, so Elon Musk does not have a LinkedIn profile, right? But he is Elon Musk. Sundar Pichai doesn't have a LinkedIn profile, but he's Sundar Pichai. So the same logic applies. We are not that at level where a LinkedIn profile is not really we want, right? Our work is out in the open for people to look at. People know what we are doing, what we are building, and hence we don't really care. This is what you'll see with a lot of successful startup founders as well. They've not really paid attention to it, which, by the way, now most of the folks are doing, because then they have other agendas of PR and how they want to publicize, etc. Right? So you'll see Zoho's founder or Fresh Chat's founder writing a lot of things, and every week almost saying something about sales or something about how CRM's business is going to be. In our context, profile is absolutely crucial because that is your first gateway of an introduction to an unknown person. So if a recruiter or a hiring manager has absolutely no clue about who you are, what you've done in the past, your profile is where he will judge you upon, right? And as an afterthought, it can be after something you've applied on the company website and he looks you up, or it can also be a source for them to actually discover you. All of you know that LinkedIn is a huge place for getting jobs, right? Most of the folks today, I mean, it's one of the best place out there, to be honest. Just the kind of market share it enjoys, right? It's no more Indeed or Go or Monster or some other place. People still put resumes over there, but LinkedIn is the easiest. It's just so well organized. So it just makes absolute sense for all of us to have a profile which is decent enough to be shown. Now, decent enough applies for someone who's maybe not actively looking, but if you really want to break into product management, that it has to be your best shot, right? The analogy I keep on giving people is, and it's both in terms of profile and in terms of your portfolio, right? Imagine when you go and attend a function, you dress yourself the best, right? You wear your sherwanis, you wear a tuxedo. So your profile has to be like that, even if things, and it starts from something as small as your picture. So I'm going to start sharing my screen and let's dive into it. Uh, I hope this sort of quick primer helps you understand why are we even talking about LinkedIn profiles, right? So, all right. So this is my LinkedIn, and I'm gonna go on my profile over here. Okay. Uh, Something as small as this. So the first thing that you need to have is a profile picture. Now, of course, you don't have to click it in a jazzy way that I got. I have it. It was for an event, and I just happened to got it clicked. But the idea over here is you are getting a picture clicked, number one, to essentially show who you are. So which means pictures with sunglasses are a no-no. Pictures where your face is not visible clearly is a no-no. Pictures where you're clicking a selfie is a little bit unprofessional. Pictures where you're chilling in a hill station is not really recommended. Pictures where you're not smiling and you don't look like a welcoming person is also a no-no, right? This is your gateway to people seeing that, okay, what kind of person he is. Again, these are not huge things, but small things matter, right? Small details do matter. So first, start off with the LinkedIn profile, the picture. Don't worry if you don't have a suit, doesn't matter. If you don't have a professional camera, it doesn't matter. Stand near any wall, just ask your friend, your mom, your sister to just take a picture of yours, wear a shirt and just smile and just look straight on. That's it. It's as simple as that. Get a haircut, maybe get a shave, maybe, and that's it, right? A clear picture of you smiling into the camera with a decent enough background, that kind of shows also that you did some effort, right? And it's a picture, once clicked, you can use it for years and years, right? So first is that. The second thing is your cover picture. Again, it's not a huge or a must thing. Uh, a lot of people, what they do, and I would recommend you doing it. I have not done it, but if you want to, go ahead, do it. Which is, if you already have a portfolio, right, of yours, you can just put up your portfolio website URL over here, right? Of course, it's not going to be clickable, but you can explicitly say. So it will be something like www.himadrijoshi.com, right? And just say product musings, case studies, product breakdowns, portfolio breakdowns, etc. Whatever you want to call or bucketize them into. The idea here again is you sort of publicize and you sort of advertise about yourself. A lot of people, they put up a background image of the company they work at, which is also fine. But if you are trying to break into product management, why not use this space also to make an impression? You'll be putting the portfolio link somewhere downwards, but you can do that over here as well, right? The next thing that you want to do is, I think, straight away to your about section. Now, I'll talk about the good things in my about section and the things which are I find missing, which I should probably attend to. So the good thing is my about section is crisp. Okay, I have two lines. I have a good enough space. There's a reason for it, and then I have probably a line more. The way it is written and this spacing makes it breathable, right? You don't feel like, oh my god, there are so many words, what has he written, right? It's very pleasing to the eyes, where you can just read that, okay, what does he do and what drives him, right? These are the probably 2 points that I wrote about. Now this is the good part, where I've just made it very crisp and I've made it breathable by putting up a, a break line over here. The part which is not good as such is you absolutely have no clue about the years of experience I have, the total years of experience, right? So I have about 8 years of experience in the industry. It doesn't say here at all, which you should definitely, right? So your about section should be like a primer or just a summary of who you are. Someone who just has to skim through your profile will read this and be impressed at the same time. So typically I recommend to students that talk about your years of experience, continue by talking about your expertise, which could be in terms of a domain, which could be in terms of a technology, and talk about something which is, very unique to you, something which you can sell. So in my case, I've written about this thing, but I would recommend, probably, again, like I said, this is not the best one, but I would recommend writing something like a great feature or something you built, right? So let's say you say that I have 6 years of experience, and I've worked in the past on domains such as e-commerce, healthcare, and retail. The last company which I worked at, the product which I worked at, I sort of built, or I increased the monthly active users by 30%. And that's it, right? If you have huge years of experience, you can say that over the years, I've helped build, revenue pipelines for customers amounting to 3 million or 4 million, whatever that number is. Now, these are just some examples I'm trying to give. The idea is that you put up a concise line of what you've done in your career, and it should sound really impressive. And it should be true, and it's very hard. It's not really very hard to calculate it, right? So the revenue number that I gave, you can just roughly calculate it. Okay, probably I did 3 releases over there. The first release which I did acquired 5 customers. From those 5 customers, we had roughly about this much amount of money. So it's just quick maths, right? Basic quant. Just add it all up, put up a approximate number, and talk about it. The intent over here is to showcase the fact that, hey, I'm someone who has been impact in the companies I've worked at. This is the years of experience I have, and these are the domains I'm good at, or these are the technologies I'm good at. So let's say if you worked on mobile app, or if you've been a PM for mobile app, uh, then you can say that I understand how mobile apps are done. I've worked or understood the user journeys and understood the user psyche in mobile apps. My last app, it had 4.5 rating and was downloaded across by several folks. Talk about the number of downloads, or talk about the conversion rate of the app, etc. Right? Again, that would be amazing. Also, PMs should always be metric driven. So you should love numbers. You should love metric. Anything which is not quantifiable should not really matter to you. I'll come to this point again in the resumes as well, but I often seen resumes people have written, right, I have done an amazing job, or I built the team which was succeeding. No, you can't use superficial words like that, right? Because it's not quantifiable. You can't quantify the best solution. You can't quantify best app. You say that the app is best because it maybe won an award, maybe because it had X number of downloads, maybe because it got amazing reviews, right? So quantify it. And if when you write something like that in your about section, that really creates an impression. So you want to do that. So the next section would be featured. Um, so there are 2 ways to go about it. The first way is, if you have done any product certifications, I'm assuming all of you are, I mean, there's nothing to assume, actually. It is reality that all of you are part of Pragmatic. So either you are doing your diplomas or you're doing your, certificates. Why not put your Pragmatic certificate over here? Just attach it. It's a good way of showing the world that, hey, I have some sort of background. I have done my homework in terms of understanding the core concepts of product management. So when I join you, I'll be ready to go from day one, right? You don't really have to teach me and make me understand that, hey, how metrics work, how do you do product thinking, what are PRDs, how do you break down a problem, etc. I understand all of it, right? Because I have this certificate. So I have a certificate of that sorts. If you've spoken at an event, amazing. If you've written some articles, amazing. Again, the idea here is that the story starts from here, that you're a product manager. You've talked about your summary, and then your featured section sort of conveys that story. So for a long time, I was, this is not really updated, but I think it still sort of flies, which is, for a long time, I was into chatbots, and I was a PM for the chatbot. So my first featured is when HCL published my article about chatbots and how you should do it on their global website. I spoke at a ANZ Bank event where I spoke to an audience of about 5,000 people, and I just spoke about how chatbots should be made, and then some articles about chatbot, etc. Right. So this is what I thought were the best ones. Again, you don't want to make it crowded. So if you've spoken on, let's say, 5 events, go for the event where you spoke at length, where the attendees were huge, where the event was big, right? So if I would have spoken at, let's say, Google's I/O event, I would have probably added that over here, right? So again, that's a call that you have to take, whatever works the best for you, because people might ask that, hey, you spoke at that event, can you talk about it, how that was. You never know. So that is something that might come in your interviews. The next thing is activity. Well, I do understand everyone sort of interacts in a different way on LinkedIn, but my recommendation, especially for people who are trying to break into product management, is to engage with a lot of things which are related to product management, right? So LinkedIn also today is quite filled with stuff which is not really LinkedIn related, right? And I don't want to judge anything on those lines, but what I'm saying is, sure, engage with it if that's something that appeals to you. But if you want to really make your profile just with the objective of getting a job, which I think that's what a professional networking site is for, or to network with people, you should engage with stuff which is related to your job or your profession. Again, that's very subjective to me. So follow it if you want to. If you don't want to, that's fine. So probably you want to talk about or engage with people who are writing product management posts, write reviews and things like that. And all of that is going to show up over here for the person who's going to read your profile. So that again, the same storyline. I hope you guys are following me. From your image to your about section to your featured to your activity, all of that just flows, right? The next thing, I hope the child crying in the background is not a problem. Can you guys still hear me loud and clear?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yes, we can hear you.
Awesome. Otherwise, it would have gone out. Okay. So the next thing is the experience, right? Now, in experience, you will be talking about the companies that you worked at. And over here, you need to specify exactly what impact you created, right? A lot of people just write the KRAs that they've accomplished. So, for example, in Haptik, I have written these things, right? So I talked about as a core member, we started out with this, we grew over to this. These were the features I did. These are the numbers, etc. You'll also notice they are not a lot. So I've been choosy about it. I've not mentioned all the 10 things that I might have done, right? I've just given a very concise view or the best view that I have. Don't worry if you have more pointers, just mention all of those pointers in your resume. You don't have to write the whole story here itself. Okay. But the idea here is talk about your job and talk about the impact you created. Similarly, for your other places as well, talk about the job, talk about the impact you created. Now, it can be a scenario where not everything that you did is quantifiable, but you should always gun for it, right? So, for example, over here, I've said enabled this and I enabled the pre-sales team and I led some strategic initiatives. Well, I've not really quantified them, right? So, ideally, I should. Your first preference is to always go for quantifiable ones, and that's what is most preferred. Same goes for my other things that I've written. So I've written again some of the stuff. I've written, okay, this one had a 1.5x increase, and here I've just written stuff that I did, but it is not quantifiable. Always go for quantifiable stuff. Second, please note how readable it is, right? I've strategically introduced a space over here. I have a space over here. My lines are not too long, right? Some of them are short, some of them are going extending to 2 lines. None of the stuff that I've written extends over to like 4 lines or something, right? It's something that's too long. I don't have it. Over here, I had a couple of longer lines. So what I did to make it more readable and breathable, I just put a break line to make it easy to read, right? Ultimately, all of this you're doing because you want people to read. So if you've just written a lot of things and you've just written an essay, it's just going to be just look very much clumsy and people are not going to read it, right? So visual appeal is very much critical, in product management, because you design products, you look at products, you design a lot of elements. I mean, you don't really design them, you work with the product designer, but you need to have an eye for it. And the next part of it is going to be, again, this is something that if you have, great. If you don't, that's fine, but try and have it, which is some recommendations. It always helps. Yeah. So with that, I'm going to stop sharing my screen. If you have any questions, please ask at this point in time. Any questions on profile, any confusion about profiles?
Himadri, this is Samir.
Hey, hi, Samir. Yeah.
I wanted to understand one thing. See, the points that you have covered essentially are for the the person who is already a PM or has a PM role. I have around 10 years or 11 years of experience, but that is not in the product role. And in case I intend to move to the product domain, which is the case, what should be the right approach to mention the things that you mentioned, like for example, about us, experience, activities, and so on and so forth?
So, hey, hi, Sameer. I think, and this is strictly in terms of your LinkedIn profile, right? So, uh,
Yes.
I think the basics remain the same, irrespective of how many years of experience you have. Probably, if you have more years of experience, you want to put it more crisp. For higher years of experience, what you definitely want to do, and this is
No,
something I'll cover in.
Himadri, sorry to cut you here. Wanted to redirect you. My question is, I don't have an experience in product management. Like I understand with 10 years of experience, I need to, point out only the points which are very impactful.
Right, right.
But what should be the scenario? Like, for example, if I am not a PM as of now,
Yeah.
I don't have any experience in PM role. So what should be the right things to mention? So as as a potential candidate for a PM role, what should I mention?
No, absolutely. So let me take an example, right? So I got your point. So for example, someone has an 11 years of experience and he's always been into sales, right? Let's just assume all through his life, all he's done is just sales, right? Hardcore sales guy, hunter profile, where he's getting those leads in. So you might not write metrics which are very PM metrics, but you will still have metrics which are fitting your profile, right? So for a sales guy, it would be things like how many conversions or how much revenue he generated, or how many accounts he was sort of able to bring in, where all he spoke, what kind of sales enablement activities he did, how many team members were there under him, how he coached them, how the team grew over a span of certain years, how he improved the efficiency of the team by probably streamlining the sales processes that they have, what kind of sales playbook he wrote, and what effect that sales playbook had on the sales results. So the point that I'm trying to make is, irrespective of whatever profile you have, right, you should be a lover of metrics. If you're into QA role, talk about the kind of bugs you've solved, right? What kind of sprint improvements you've done, how, what kind of automation test cases you've written, and how they have created an impact on the product and in turn on the revenue. And you can write an approximate number. If you already love metrics, it does play a huge role into positioning yourself as a potential PM candidate or someone who wants to break into product management. That's one. The second thing would be, and this is probably, I'll quote the I did a YouTube sort of session with Pragmatic. It's there of how to break into product management, but I'll tell you in a very concise way the answer to it. You need to showcase whatever you've done in the past, irrespective of whether it is PM or not, and showcase that how you're leveraging those skills and bringing it to the table. So, for example, again, I'll take the sales example. The same person, 10 years of experience, out and out sales, uh, and he's been doing sales for, let's say, um, e-commerce products, right? So he's well versed with how e-commerce and the Dukans and the Bikais of the world and Shopify's of the world work, right? E-commerce SaaS software, he's been selling that. So you want to always play to your strengths. So for that particular person, a huge advantage is if he tries to become a product manager for an e-commerce SaaS company. So the way he positions his profile while he's writing all of these metrics on the LinkedIn, and when he speaks, or the way he writes his portfolio, or when he gets into the interview or probably speaks to the hiring manager, is to say the fact that, hey, listen, 11 years I've sold these SaaS products to customers, e-commerce SaaS products to customers. I know what customers want. In these 11 years, I've really sit up close and personal to these guys, which is our end customers, and I understand their pulse. Because I understand that part of the story, because I understand the domain, which is e-commerce, because I understand what legalities and what pitfalls and what challenges lie in selling a SaaS product over there, and because I'm a lover of metrics, hence, it kind of makes sense for me to get into product management. It makes sense for them to hire you as a product manager, because now all they need to do is just see and talk to you in an interview, give you those kind of tests, which way they will, by the way, to figure out if you understand product management and do you have that product thinking, because domain knowledge is already sorted, right? Your expertise is already sorted. So I think, yeah, that's how you play. For other roles and how do you really break it down, I'd recommend reading into it. But does that help? Sameer, did you
Yes,
get
sure. Yes, yes.
Hi, Himadri, this is
Thank
Arpita,
you.
and I have a query to ask you.
Hey, hi. I can't see you. Where are you
Civil,
speaking? Okay, yeah, I can see you now. Hi, Arpita. Yeah.
this is a very generic question, like not related, not like specific to product manager role, as in like a very generic question. Like it's important, like how important it is, like to mention your certification or courses you have done. Like I might have done n number of courses since the starting of my career. So like, is it necessary to mention all of those while searching, like if I am actively looking for a job, like how important it is? Because of late I think I have come across an article in LinkedIn from a product manager who was in the hiring team, and like what he has stated was that we really don't care what certification the candidate has done. It's like what is the knowledge he's carrying with him and how good he is at the interview level. So I just wanted to know, like, is it really differentiating my resume from the other candidates in the same profile?
So that's a great question, Arpita. Would have this doubt. So this is what I have seen. There are a lot of moving factors in this. So the first moving variable factor is what kind of certifications you have, right? Uh, let's say you've got Udemy, you've got Coursera, you've got one from IIM Bangalore, you've got one from Product School, and then you probably have one from Pragmatic Leaders. Now, I'm not saying the ones which are from Udemy or Coursera are bad, right? But as a person who's putting those certificates in, the way I look at it is you need to honestly ask yourself which one was more harder to get, because honestly the one which was harder to get and you understand that, the other person also knows it. So the recruiter also knows that, okay, this one is really hard to get, right? You have to really crack an exam. It's not something that, okay, you stop and probably reapply for it and then you get a 90 percentile, right? First, so choose the one which you want to go, choose the one which you think was really hard and really made you sweat, right? Again, if you're exceptional, then that's a different case and everything was easy for you, but that's the first filter. The second filter is the place you're applying for. Means if you're applying as a product manager and if you have a certificate in data structure or probably design systems or in SQL, I don't know if it really helps. Certificate from maybe product school or from Pragmatic for a product manager post would rather be more influential in comparison to having showing that you know SQL or you know Java. Probably you got it like when you were in college, or it's an old one, or probably an expired SAP certification, right? That's the second parameter. So where are you applying? Figure that out. The third is absolutely right when you said that you can't really rely on it. So all of this is part of a connected story. So a biggest assumption over here is that you know what product management is, you will kill it in the interview, your resume is good. If those things are not in place, you might have the best LinkedIn profile. He's going to talk to you and he's going to be like, okay, wow, the profile looked amazing. But when I started talking to him, not really, right? So similarly with your certifications, no one is going to call you just because, oh my God, this guy's got 15 certifications, we need to hire him. No, but it falls into the overall story. Specifically for people who are trying to break into product management, it might not be a stamp of this guy knows product management, because see, practical and theoretical knowledge, all of us know there's a huge difference. But what it shows to the hiring manager and to the recruiter is that this guy is really serious about it. He's made some efforts. He's not getting onto the cogwheel of product management that, oh, okay, it's famous today, so I'm going to become a product manager. Tomorrow, like for a long time, it was data scientist, right? So he's not just jumping the wagon because everyone is talking product management is the new job, right? So specifically for people who want to break into, it shows that you've got the intent. It shows that you are making an effort to probably learn something which is out there and you have a certification for it and you understand the basics, because most of these certifications do indeed cover the basics. But is someone going to hire you just because you have a product certification from product school or even Pragmatic or something else? No, not really. Even Carnegie Mellon gives a product certification, no one cares for it, and it's pretty much similar to something like having an MBA, right? So for a long time people would hire just because if you have an MBA from IIM. Today no one cares. It's a good supplement grade, but they do want to still talk to you. But yeah, if you have one, so put it out there, filter out the ones you want to. Do not put all the ones, which I saw in a couple of students here as well. I don't know if they are on the call. For example, they were really eager to learn a lot of things, and what they did was they did like 15 certifications. So don't put 15. It's just like it's too much noise. Find out the best ones, the one which was harder. But yeah, that's how I would talk about it. Yeah, that's what I think.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah, no worries.
Hey, Himadri, Amina here.
Hey, hi, Amina.
Yeah, I just wanted to know what kind of side projects are generally recommended, and what should be the complexity of those projects to just showcase in the resume.
You're talking about the portfolio?
Yes, resume and portfolio. Any side projects which we have taken up, what should be the complexity of the side projects?
Got it. Amina, if you can just wait for probably 5 minutes, that's the next thing that I'm gonna talk about, and I'll cover it over there. Does that work?
Gotcha. Yeah, that's perfect.
Yeah. Thank you. All right. Questions, folks, on the lines of profile and what you should put over there, what you should write. Cool. So silence is golden. I will assume everyone has understood that. Now, what I'm gonna do.
One more question I have, Himadri. This is Samir again.
Yeah, Samir. Yeah.
I wanted to understand. See, like this is not related to the content of the profile. Okay. See, point is, if I make changes in my profile, my organization will be tracking it.
Mm-hmm.
So they will got to understand that I intend to change the job, which I don't want them to know right now. As of now, I don't intend to tell them. On the parallel side, we have the profile in TrueMerit as well, right?
Mm-hmm.
For programmatic leaders from programmatic leaders. So I wanted to understand like what value does that contains? As in, it's not, I believe, socially available, but if I have the content available, or if I can share the link or something, will it make any impact?
So I would say two things. So first, one hack, if your organization is looking at it, Samir, is when you make those changes, don't make them live. Live as in like LinkedIn does have an option. Do you want to notify people or do you want it to show up on their homepage? Right. So that's one way. Maybe you can still make changes and do it, all of that, and they would not really know unless they are really tracking, okay, what Samir is doing, and every week they're opening a profile. That's one way of tackling it. The second way, so like you said, right? So it's about how many people look at it. It's as simple as that. I might have the best website in the world, but if only my friends are going to look at it, I'm not going to generate leads. So similarly, the profile that you have on Pragmatic is amazing. You should definitely have it. It will be a great viewpoint for companies and organizations that Pragmatic has a tie-up with, right? And you definitely want to do that. But as a person who's out there wanting to break into product management, you need to ask yourself question, hey, do I want a product management job, which is a good product management job? And when I may say good, I necessarily mean the kind of product and the problem statement they're solving. I just want that, irrespective of whether it's a pragmatic tie-up or it is not a pragmatic tie-up. And I'm assuming the answer is going to be a resounding yes from all of you. It doesn't really matter, right? Whether it's a pragmatic tie-up or not. So in that case, what is the next best source of getting those eyeballs? It's LinkedIn. And that is why you want to, have those. So you're just expanding your chances of recruiters looking at your profile, even the ones which are not companies which are not even partnering with Pragmatic today. So it just helps over there.
Sure.
Awesome. All right. So the next thing that I'm doing is I'm trying to find a portfolio that we can sort of review. But let me look if someone is ready with their portfolio.
Himadri, one small question, Amit here.
Yeah, Amit.
So just a small. So for me, it's like I have a 10 years of large corporates experience. So that is in 0 to 1 PNL role, and then last 3 years I was into startups, and so in startups I had a profile, so leadership profile where PNL and product is combined. So it's like in my last startup, so I was a business unit head for credit and fintech, where 5 product managements were reporting to me, 3 strategic relationship guys, and then operations and credit. So if you ask me, except sales, everyone was reporting to me. So how to put that thing? Because when I go for Because generally in a startup, if it is a small team like 25 to 30 member team, then PNL and product is not different, right?
Yeah.
It is same. So how to put it? That is what
I think that's the biggest advantage. So one of the good things that I've seen a lot of students over here, and if there are more people like you, Amit, on this call, guys, if you have any sort of entrepreneurial experience, right? Maybe while you were a student or as a full job profession, that's amazing. Like that's like, so it's not really true, but all of you must have heard this, right? Product manager is the CEO of the product. Now, it's not really true in the sense that he is eventually the CEO, but if you are an entrepreneur, you understand the whole cycle of how a business is run, right? From starting from acquiring a customer to actually engaging with them, converting them, delighting them, and ensuring that they don't churn and actually retaining them, right? So it's one of the, I think it's a superpower that you have. You should not shy away from calling yourself a startup founder and entrepreneur. It does not matter how big it was or whether it was bought by a company, acquired by a company, or the numbers were low or less. It doesn't really matter. There are a lot of companies which enjoy the fact that, okay, this guy, let's say, for lack of use the word failed, right? Let's say if you're a failed founder, it doesn't really matter. Trust me, what they want to hear is, if even if you failed, you understood exactly why you failed. And if you have that learning, that's amazing. You need to just bring that out. So in your case, you need to, whatever you just told me, right? So look at the beauty of it, Amit. Because we are in a call and we are time pressed. You told me all of it in just 10 seconds. If you're going to say exactly all of this in 10 seconds in an interview, that's done. You told about how many people you were reporting to you. You told about you've been an entrepreneur. You told about you were handling PNL. You told about how lean the team was. All of these are qualities of a good PM, which is like handling a lean team, working with less resources. So for example, my product today, it's, even though we come under the umbrella of Haptik, we started with 9 members, and that's it for the product only, right? Reliance Jio is a huge big product. They had, okay, boss, you've got like 9 people. That's it. 2 PMs. I think we had about 2 developers, 1 designer, researcher, and then there was my boss. And then we were doing experiments and just using no code tools. We were trying to figure out how do we get it done, right? So I think you have an amazing experience. You need to concise it in your about summary, put it in your profile in the same way that I spoke about, and own it and talk about it. And is, rather than talking about P&L terms, try and talk about terms in terms of product metrics, right? So when you say about things, so let's say you've done something on the business, and at a business level you've done wonders, or you've grown the revenue, etc. Talk about it, sure, but thoda sa usme bring that product flavor, right? Because
yes,
ultimately,
yes. So
yeah, please go on.
yeah, so those are actually a product. So how I started. So first when I joined, so I joined the founding, so I developed the product and then owned the PN. So obviously the customer conversion, and then funnel conversion, and the metrics like percentage conversion, and revenue is growing per person revenue. What is the cost benefit, and per person, like odd unit economic, that is part of it. So
which is great. To build on it, I think that's amazing. So don't worry. I think it's just about how you position it. The same way you gave me the pitch, I think it would just work. Okay.
So I'll put that.
All right.
And no need to focus more on my large corporates experience.
That's so. Abhi, isme kya hai? I'll tell you guys, right? This is for all of you, not only you, Amit. All the answers that all the solutions that I'm giving you guys, there's a huge variable over here, which is what company you're also applying for. Okay. So if you're applying for product management role in, let's say, a services company, right? Now, services company are not typically product companies, but let's say you are. Or let's say you're applying in a role for a company, for a product which has become huge, let's say Uber or a Zomato, where they will have segmentations within the product itself, right? That, okay, this person is only going to take care of churn. This person is only going to take care of experience after an order has been placed, and that's it, right? Post-order experience, and etc., etc. So depending upon which company you're applying for, you have to thoda sa change your tone. If it's a small startup, you have to highlight that, okay, I understand the startup environment. If it's a big company, etc., for example, Zoho, Freshtech, Zomato, etc., you have to show that, okay, I understand processes, I understand how do you follow set processes and set guidelines and SOPs for doing things. I understand the corporate environment. So both thoda sa you have to fine tune your pitch or fine tune the way you convey so that they see you as a fit. Because ultimately, see guys, for lack of a better way, there's no way to say it. Unfortunately or fortunately, there are very few companies in the world which want to take on bet on people who absolutely have zero idea about things, right? And this is what we are doing in this course, right? We are showing that you do not have a zero idea. You understand the basics, and we are also showing you how you can mold your past experience in such a way which conveys that you really don't have zero idea. And you don't really have to mold it. It's just the way of how you convey it, right? And no one wants to bet it, right? If you want someone to open for your team, you want someone who knows how to hold a bat, right? You're not going to take someone who's a point guard at basketball. Like, doesn't really work. You might be the best point guard in basketball, it doesn't really work. So the basketball guy has to sort of say that, okay, because I was playing basketball, I have good stamina, which means I can run better between the wickets. I have good hand-eye coordination because I was playing basketball. That means I can connect the ball better, right? So he has to bring that flavor into his pitch as a batsman. For people who are not into sports, sorry for that analogy, but yeah. Okay, so I see a lot of people have texted. I have my profile groomed. Does anyone have a portfolio, whether it is ready, not ready, or a work in progress that they want to share? We can just look at it, and in your sense, it will help you that you will get it reviewed, and for get sense of, okay, how do you want to go about it? Is there anyone? If not, I'm just going to quickly.
I have one in. Hi, Himadri. This is Amir. I have one in work in progress.
Yeah, Sameer. Yeah, just let's look at it.
Okay, just give me a second. Let me just try to open.
Yeah. Do you have sharing rights?
Yeah, everyone will have because I have.
Okay. Acha, hey, Kapil is also here. Kapil, when is your joining date? Yeah, your voice is a bit muffled. Can you hear us?
Traveling right now. I'm in Delhi. So traveling. I'm just joining from my phone.
Kapil, do you want to probably type it out?
Hello, am I audible?
Yes.
Yeah. So I'm commuting right now. I'm in Delhi for some meetings. So yeah, my joining is mostly in November first week.
Understood. So guys, just for everyone, Kapil is one of the students and he's just cracked the PM role. So congratulations to Kapil. And he was working closely with us and we were working on portfolios, etc., etc. I think he's put up his portfolio here as well. We'll have a look at it, but let's first look at Sameer's.
Yeah. So Himadri, I'll stay on mute because there's a lot of background noise.
Yeah, no worries. So same profile, similar to you, Amit. He's an ex-co-founder. He's done a lot of startups, etc. And now he's going to join as a product manager. In fact, fun story, guys, that he applied for an APM role, but they were so impressed that they gave him the PM role.
Great.
So, yeah.
So I also applied actually. So in one company, I was shortlisted for a director of product management. So the process will start next week. So let's see how it will go.
Great.
I think it will complete also in the next week because there is a direct interview with chief product officer and then after CEO and CEO. So I don't think it will take much time. That is what HR told me. So I'm not sure what will happen.
I won't be surprised, Amit, if probably I'll be joining somewhere and I report to you. I'm like, what?
No.
Awesome. This is great.
Himadri, I'm logged in from my mobile, so I'm not able to access it right now. Maybe we can go ahead with the Kapil's or.
Yeah. I'll do that. So no worries. So let us. Okay. So before I, show you guys Kapil's portfolio, and I've already reviewed it. I've seen it, so I know what he's done. Again, let's start with the why, right? Why are we making a portfolio? Like, what's the point? So the reason we are making a portfolio is, especially when we don't have typical product management experience, how do we show that we understand the nuances of product management? And when I say nuances, I understand and I can apply product thinking to a problem that is given to me. That impression is what you want to create while writing a portfolio. And at the same time, you want to check some hygiene factors. Hygiene factors, by the way, guys, this is something that I didn't really talk about when I started saying at the start. This is, yeah, I'm going to move it to the bottom. Yeah. All the things that I talked about in profile, right? Please have a look at the perfect fit guidelines that I mentioned over here for profile. Most of the stuff that I said, it's just repetitive of whatever, which is about section, your metrics, etc. Your work experience has to have metrics and things like that are all written here in a concise way. So I just explained it, but if you want to recall whatever I've said, just have a look at this. Okay. In similar fashion, I'm going to say a lot of things about portfolio, but one of the easiest ways to recall it again is looking at this section where everything is written explicitly and you can refer to it back again and again. Now, coming back to this, right? So the reason you're making a portfolio is this because, like I said, you want to showcase that you have product thinking, you want to showcase that you have structured thought, and you want to showcase that some hygiene factors, right? You understand how visual appeals work. You understand what kind of vocabulary to use. You understand how do you make an article and how storytelling happens. You understand how do you approach a problem. You understand what kind of research needs to be done when you're writing it. You understand smaller things that, okay, if I'm using an image in my article, at least it needs to be an HD image so people can actually see it, right? All of that is shown in your portfolio and it's important, right? What topic do you choose on, right? Now, before I jump to and start looking at the portfolio, first is why we are writing it. I hope that's clear. Who are going to read it? Well, your hiring manager, people who are just researching about you, the TA person or the recruiter. Mostly recruiters don't really look at product portfolios, but if there are portfolios available, it kind of gives them the confidence that acha, theek hai. Neither the company is wasting time on this guy or neither the guy's time is getting wasted, right? No one wants to waste anyone's time. So I look at the LinkedIn profile, I see, theek hai, everything is written. I see certifications are done. I see he's paid attention to a lot of things. Oh, I see he's also done product portfolio. Yeah, looks like a legit guy. Let's talk to him, right? The fact that it's the mere fact that it's there works. Reading, most probably your hiring manager is going to do, or people who are going to conduct rounds, right? Basis how much time they have, or sometimes within the interview itself, they'll listen and they'll be like, okay, and probably when you're introducing themselves, they'll quickly have a look at things that you've written, right? You never know. And more than all of it, guys, what you don't realize is it's an amazing place to do your homework. Eventually, what you want to do is not only get the job, but succeed at it. Getting a job is half the job done, right? It's like you can still be fired or you can still be told that, boss, you're not doing an amazing job or put into PIP. So you want to get you want to be a good product manager. So being a good product manager means having an absolute control on what kind of written and your vernacular sense of things, which is what this is a good practice also. So writing this portfolio will make you sort of practice and understand, okay, this is how tomorrow when I'm going to write a PRD, how it is going to shape up. The next is what topic. So it's very subjective. You can write about topics you want. I typically recommend writing about things which are in relation to the job that you're applying for, or use a topic which really brings out your thinking and your viewpoint on stuff. For example, if I'm just going to cover a generic article which has been written 10 times or 100 and thousands of times before, it's not going to be really amazing, right? Because everyone has read it before. It doesn't really showcase something. For example, why Netflix is amazing, or how Gmail might improve, or how YouTube works, or how Uber works. There are a lot of articles already written on it. How AI works, or importance of AI, or how crypto works. No, write something which is really original. And let's say even if you're going to talk about how crypto works, write about it in such a way that it is very unique to you, right? Not something that I can find a better article about somewhere else. Okay. This also means that maybe you need to be a first mover. So topics which are quite prevalent, maybe talk about them quickly, then someone else does. But hey, that's the way content is churned and that's the way content is read, right? You also want your portfolio to be read. You don't want ki yaar maine likh diya, it's lying somewhere and no one is reading it. Then it doesn't really serve the purpose, right? You want even the ones who are not hiring you. If I just do a Google search and look for a particular term, I should be getting your article in SEO results. And how will I get it? I will get it because I wrote on a topic which is very peculiar. So, for example, not to praise myself, but I'll say something like product and the office. Okay, I think I should probably write lessons to learn, or no, you know what? I'll write something like Michael Scott and product management. All right. So what I see is a couple of articles. Oh wow, it's not coming in. Maybe not the best example. For a long time, my article was coming over here. What do you learn from Michael Scott as far as product management goes? Oh, I think this is my article. Oh yeah, great. Sorry, I forgot the title. But the point that I'm saying is I wrote something which is very peculiar. That this is a TV series and a character, and I'm saying what things you can learn from this guy, which is Michael Scott, right? And I wrote it way back like 2 years ago, and it's still coming on top because no one else has written about it. It's very niche, it's very particular, right? So maybe write something about this. If I would have just written product management lessons, well, you'll find hundreds of articles about it. But I wrote very peculiar, which is an a person you not assume. Like for example, I don't know how many of you guys have seen Jethalal from Tarak Mehta Ka Ulta Chashma, which is just an Indian rom-com. If I take a very unassuming piece and say business lessons to learn from Tarak Mehta Ka whatever, right? Or business lessons to learn from Rakesh Jhunjhunwala, or product management lessons to learn from Rakesh Jhunjhunwala, right? Just or from Donald Trump, right? It has a shock and awe appeal. What is he talking about? Lessons to learn from Donald Trump, right? So again, I'm just giving an example. Don't start writing articles all about this. But the idea that I'm trying to convey is be niche, write something which people will read, write something which will rank high, write something which people not only on hiring managers and interviewees, but people outside will also read, right? And just explore and have fun with it. Now going back to the product people. Okay, so now you know what kind of topics you want to write. You can of course write product tear downs, use the same logic. Don't write product tear downs on Slack, right? It's a common product. Probably talk about, don't write about Zomato or Swiggy, everyone has written about it, right? There are hundreds and thousands of it. Write about something like why Skype failed, or write a product tear down on Microsoft PowerPoint, right? Or, the dynamic island feature on iPhone, which is there, right? It's so recent. Everyone is talking about what kind of design it is. Maybe take it from a product manager perspective. Say that how dynamic island works and why did they even launch it? What was the idea behind it? Those kind of topics. Subjective, you can of course do product tear downs and that should be fine. So let's look at this. So what we have in front of us in terms of portfolio is Kapil has made a sort of a place where all product managers can connect and interact with each other. And within this place, he's written a couple of articles, right? But the idea that he's trying to govern from this is his portfolio itself. That what he's trying to govern is, imagine a place for all product managers to hang about and read about things and talk about things, a community, right, for product folks. And that's what he's made as Product City. He's calling it Product City. So let's look at one of the articles that he's written in Product City. Now, a couple of things, right? The article starts off with a question. Is it high time to move out of Excel, right? It sort of puts me in a place saying that no or yes. It's not standard saying that best benefits of Uber or 5 benefits of, no. If you do the shock and awe thing, you want people to actually go ahead and read it, right? So now you're interested, okay, what does he mean high time to move out of Excel? Or is he saying Excel is a bad thing? Because Excel is a great thing, all of us use it. So why is he even talking about that? As soon as he as he has written it. You also see that he's used bold formatting to convey the fact that it's heading. These are, guys, very small things, but I've seen so many times people don't adhere to it. Please do it. Next, as soon as it starts, there's an image. It also serves as a thumbnail picture of the article and also gives me an idea, okay, about what he's going to talk about. He's not shown over here Excel, but again, I'm not going to critique exactly on what could be better, but I'm just giving you an idea of how you can make your portfolios, in what direction they should go. So there's a title, there's a image, everything is fine right now. The next thing is that he's now setting some context.
Himadri.
Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt this, Samir. I need to drop off. I need to jump into another call. Thank
No
you.
worries. Bye, Sameer. I think this session is recorded, so maybe I think one of the Pragmatic team guys can always give you the link. But I recommend, guys, stay live. Nothing better than live, right? Highlights mein maza nahi aata. Okay, so the next thing what he's done is he's setting the context of the portfolio. He's saying that, okay, he's talking about essentially about the importance of Excel, right? He's saying how many people use it, what kind of people use it, and how it's a productivity tool, right? In fact, you'll also notice that he's playing around with the way he's written these sentences, right? He's starting with a capital N. All of these different sort of small things are available to you on whatever you are going to write a portfolio on. And that is why it is important what place you choose to write it on. A lot of people just write it on Word file. I mean, sure, you can do that, but on Word file, it's just harder to play along with these kind of visual elements. On Medium, it's amazing. Also on Medium, once you've written it, you can host it there itself, and you can probably share it with others or on a LinkedIn profile there itself, right? Or you can create a PDF out of it, keep the PDF separately, or keep it on there. The point that I'm trying to make is he has played along with visual elements, which is great. After context setting, he's also again playing along with visual elements, and he's asking a question. He's saying productivity tools are simply better version of Excel or what Excel was not able to accomplish. So now here he's taking a stance. The point that I'm trying to convey is the story starts from setting a context. It puts a question mark on what this article is going to be about. A lot of people can just explicitly write over here that this article is going to be about, right? Because as a reader, I don't want to go at the end of the page and then figure that, oh my God, this was such a clickbaity article. The title was something else, the content was something else. You don't want the readers to feel that. So whatever you're going to do in this article, probably talk about it in the first 3 lines itself. Also notice how intelligently he's put these spaces, which makes the article breathe, right? They're not unnecessarily, but he's put these breathers. And he's put these visual elements. See, look at how nicely he's put up an image over here. Again, if you don't have image, that's fine, but it's recommended typically to have those visual cues itself. It's also an opportunity to show how good you are in terms of visual understanding, right? You can probably make a PowerPoint, draw concentric circles, talk about something in concise way. Let's say you're talking about why Netflix is amazing. Number 1, content. Number 2, UI. Number 3, pricing. Right? 3 factors. Now you can always write about those 3 factors over here in bullet points, 1, 2, 3, or alongside you can put an image over here and show the 3 things written over here, and just make a little diagram out of it. Right? Small creative elements. Right? As a product manager, you need to be a little bit creative as well. And this will not do any harm. It will make the whole portfolio look better itself. Okay, trust me on that. Next. Again, he's starting out with something. Growing businesses rely on something. Again, not getting into the actual review, particularly of the portfolio, but just giving you exact pointers on what needs to be done. Whenever he's talking about pointers, he's highlighting them like this, and he's writing some pointers around them, right? So human resources, he's saying that, okay, this exists over there. Business development, marketing, he's talking about this. Essentially, you're explaining the point, right? Just not just leave it hanging. I've seen a lot of students use pointers, but not even use camel case. So your first has to be capital, and then everything else is a lowercase. So smaller things like this, right? Do it. It looks good. Again, he's got an image, and he's writing another things, etc., etc. He's got hyperlinks in between, where I think if I click, It should take me to what an SOP is, which is amazing, right? So if you're using some terminologies or jargons in your portfolio, mention those, right? Also, please notice how first he's written the full form and then he's put a short form. These are very small pointers, folks. Writing on. If you're going to use this abbreviation in the article later, you can now use it and save on space. But first, you have to write explicitly what it means. And it can be something as small as SOP. Do not assume everyone knows what SOP is, right? Because a lot of domains and a lot of places, everyone uses different abbreviations. So whenever you use them, write them like this. And then yeah, he's explained these pointers. Again, there's a image. And notice how at the end he's put a call to action. He's saying share our productivity tools which have replaced Excel spreadsheets and follow our LinkedIn page for a feature on our upcoming stories. Let's stay connected. And smaller things like look at this icon that he's put. Right? These are very small things. I'm not saying putting an icon will make your portfolio amazing. I'm not saying that. But very small stuff, very small nudges and changes that he's done, which makes it essentially look good. Now, this is one example of how portfolios are done. Another example that I can think of, and a lot of people doing product tear downs, right? Ensure that you have a story that follows in that tear down. You start off with what the product is, rather than what the product is, what is the problem that the product solves, what the product is, how do we know that it solves it, what are the metrics that are going to be tracked, what are the risks associated, and finally, what is your take on the product or how the industry is going to be, or asking the reader what is their favorite product, or leaving them with a question, right? A lot of you have seen movies, there are a lot of movies where there is an open ending, right? And you're always thinking, oh my God, what happened? You get out of the hall and you speak to your friends that, yeah, I think he's alive, right? There are a lot of movies like that. So think of it in that sense. If your article is like that, that it opens up to a discussion, it opens up with a question at the end. That means that you will have some sort of engagement at the end, right? Ultimately, you want people to read it. Ultimately, you want people to read it and go in the comments that, yeah, my favorite one is this. I think that is this, right? You want people to engage. You want people to read. So that's another strategy, which you could use. But I think, yeah, that's how it is. That's how you should write portfolios. Summarize. Number one, choose your topic carefully. Remember the audience, the place you're applying for, or how it is going to sound and how niche it is. The niche it is, the better it is. Second, remember about the framework, the problem statement, the feature, the solution, your assumptions on how it is going to solve, some metrics and risks, and then an open question. Number three, smaller pointers on how the resume worked, right? How the portfolio works. Smaller pointers in terms of grammar, in terms of breathe in terms of using images, in terms of font size. Number four, which place you are actually hosting your resume or a portfolio on, whether it is Medium, whether it is Notion, whether it is PDF, because the medium you choose will determine what kind of things you can do and how pretty you can do it, right? So essentially, yeah, four things. And yeah, I think all of that and your portfolio should be good to go. So I'll take some questions. Got a feedback. If you guys can just fill in that would be amazing. But yeah, any questions? I think there was a question by Amina. Amina, was your question answered when I just spoke about portfolios in detail?
Yes, Himadri, it's clear now. Thank you.
Hey, Madhuri,
Yeah.
this is Kamaljeet here. So I have a question. So whatever we have discussed till now related to portfolio was about people trying to get into product management, right, for the first time.
Mm-hmm.
But what about people basically like myself who got into product management in some kind of a product and growth role, but are looking for better opportunities, right? So what kind of a portfolio do you suggest for them, like people like myself?
Talk about your product. Best. That's the best thing, right? If you've already worked on a product and you were a product manager before, talk about your product. One unsaid rule in portfolios or resumes or interviews or life in general right? I'm going to turn a little bit philosophical here, is
Mhm.
play to your strengths. So if I know I'm good at basketball, I will always ask you, hey, if you're really good, why don't you play basketball, or why don't you come play basketball, have a match with me. I'm not going to ask you to play TT with me, or run with me, or sprint, or probably play chess, right? I want you to play something which I know I'll win at, right? And it's something you have seen in a lot of movies as well, right? The villain says, why don't you come at my place, and I'll decide my place, and you'll come over there, right? There's a reason for it. You want to play to your strengths. You want to play in a scenario where the lesser known factors are negligible. Applying the same logic to your question, if you've already worked on a product, the best person who knows about that product is you. If you're going to talk about Netflix, I know about Netflix. The PM of Netflix knows about Netflix. A lot of us on the call know about Netflix, and everyone is going to read it and really scrutinizes and think about it. Maybe it's right, maybe it's wrong, right? I'll think about it in that way. So one to look at it is maximize the fact that you already know about a product. That means you control whatever you write. And I'm not saying lie on your portfolio, but what I mean is the way you want to shape it up, you can do that. The negative of doing this would be that because only you know it, it might not become that famous, because unless you're talking about a really famous product, I will be like, okay, I don't know what product this is. I'm not going to read about it, right? So for example, the article I was showing you, Michael Scott, people who've not seen The Office over in this call wouldn't even know what series is he talking about. I don't know, right? So I'm removing myself from that kind of audience. But if, let's say, I'm going to say product management lessons to learn from Modi, everyone knows who the prime minister is, right? Even if we don't like him or like him, but everyone knows. So I've just expanded my audience. So it's a call that you need to take. You still want to write about something generic which people can read and try and find niche, or play to your strengths and write about your product, or maybe just write two portfolios, one for your product and the other one which is niche.
So like, do you mean like portfolios are mostly like blogs, or like do you prefer having images and wireframes and things like that in the portfolio? Like what does an ideal portfolio looks like?
Personally, I would recommend an ideal portfolio would have images, wireframes, etc. Because like I said at the start, the idea of a portfolio is you want to showcase that you already know a lot of PM things and you want to practice for it. When you're going to become an eventually product manager, you will have to understand wireframes. You will have to know, okay, what is low fidelity, high fidelity. You will have to understand how designs, and you'll have to make some basic diagrams. So if it's just going to be a blog, well, yes, blog also helps in writing, but a tear down and things which are written in that way are much more closer to the real job that you'll do later. So it is just advantages for you as a person. So I would recommend that.